back to Maniacal Reader. Before I get into today's video, I wanted to let you guys know about some of the books that I forgot to include in my Christmas book haul. The reason that why I probably forgot to include them is because they were ebooks, and sometimes I forget to talk about ebooks. So I wanted to share those books with you now. One of the ebooks that I did get for Christmas is Archer's Voice by Sheridan. This is a new adult romance book. It follows this woman named Bree Prescott. Bree Prescott travels to Hellion, Maine, and she's wondering if this new town will provide peace for her that she desperately seeks. When she first comes to town, she collides with a man named Archer Hale, who is hiding a deep agony of his own. I believe this book tells about their romance. Bree is trying to escape one horrifying night in her past that she has yet to get over, and Archer has a tortured past of his own that he is also trying to overcome. So I believe this book just talks about the relationship of these two characters and hopefully relying on that relationship to help them overcome their dark pasts. The other ebook that I got for Christmas was Forebidden by Tabitha Suzuma. This book is a young adult contemporary book, but it touches on the dark topic of incest. I heard about this book all over BookTube many months ago, and I was hesitant to pick it up, but a lot of people were saying that once you read this book, you'll be rooting for the couple in this book and understand why they love each other and all about their lives. I read another book about incest in the past, and that was Flowers in the Attic by V.C. Andrews, and I found that book a little too dark for my liking. I hope that I do like this book. I'm willing to give it a try. And the last ebook that I got for Christmas was Catching Jordan by Miranda Keneally. This is a young adult contemporary book. It follows this girl named Jordan, who's a tomboy at school. She's known as one of the guys, because not only is she on the soccer team, but she's also the captain of the soccer team at her high school. She seems to be one of the guys, and that's okay with her, until a new boy comes to her school, named Ty Green. She's alright with being one of the guys, but she finds herself growing to like Ty, and she's still wondering, can she still be a soccer player while she has girly feelings for this new boy? It sounds like a cute contemporary, and I've been wanting to read more YA contemporary, so I'm sure I'll like this book. Now to get into today's video. I'm planning on doing my very late December wrap-up. The first book I read was Spiritbound by Richelle Mead. This is the 5th book in the Vampire Academy series. I won't go into too much detail about this book. The main character, Rose Hathaway, who's a guardian of vampires in this book, is grappling with her feelings between Dimitri and another vampire, Maury, named Adrian. I really liked the romantic moments between Rose and Adrian in this book, and I also liked the conflict between her and Dimitri in this book. I reread this book series a couple of years ago in 2014, but I reread this book and I forgot a lot of the details of what happened in this series and in this book specifically, so I'm definitely glad that I read it again in preparation for reading the Bloodline series. The second book I read in December was Last Sacrifice by Richelle Mead. This is the 6th and final book in the Vampire Academy series. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. This was an awesome conclusion to the Vampire Academy series, and I loved every bit of it. The next book I read in December is Talking as Fast as I Can by Lauren Graham. I've talked about this book a little bit in my Christmas book haul, but this basically is a memoir that chronicles the key moments of Lauren Graham's acting career, of how she got started in acting, as well as some parts of her early life. I really liked this book. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I loved the writing style. Her personality really shined through in this book. I also enjoyed the specific chapters of what it was like for her to work on Gilmore Girls the first time around, as well as the chapter about her working on the Gilmore Girls revival that was released on Netflix at the end of November, and what that whole experience was like for her coming back to Gilmore Girls, and how she loved slipping into the character of Lorelai Gilmore once again. My only complaint about this book is that I wish it was longer, since I love Lauren and Graham. Next up, I read Reason to Breathe by Rebecca Donovan. It follows this girl named Emma who comes from an abusive home. She lives with her aunt and uncle as well as her 2 younger cousins. She has a best friend named Sarah, and Sarah is the only one who truly knows what's going on in her life. But other than that, Emma keeps to herself and doesn't really talk to anyone else, since she doesn't want anyone to find out what goes on in her life at home. Then Emma meets a new kid at school named Evan, and at first she doesn't really like Evan, but the more she gets to know him, the more he likes him, and a relationship slowly evolves from there. I loved the characters in this book. I connected with each and every one of them, and I also liked the character of Evan, since he seemed like a nice guy who truly cared about Emma. I also liked the writing style in this book. The writing style truly and realistically depicted what it's like to grow up in an abusive home, so the writing stayed true to the subject matter of the book and handled it really well, in my opinion. I did like the plot of this book, and I did like the slow burn of Evan and Emma's romance. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. The next book I read was Barely Breathing by Rebecca Donovan. This is the second book in her Breathing trilogy. This book starts right where the previous one left off. I won't go into too much detail since this is a sequel, but the previous book ended on a cliffhanger. As a result of that, has Emma in different circumstances in this book. Emma's mother and her haven't really had a good relationship in the past, but she thinks it's a good idea to finally get to know her mother. But Emma's situation turns from bad to worse. I really liked the exploration of Emma's dynamic with her mom in this book, and I really liked the introduction of a new character named Jonathan. I also really liked the tension between Evan and Emma in this book and the challenges that arise in their relationship. I think I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. This is where the majority of the action and story happens in the trilogy, so that's why this book is my favorite overall in the trilogy. Next, I naturally read Out of Breath, the third and final book in the trilogy. This book starts off a couple of years later, and Emma is not in the same place that he was in the previous books in the trilogy. She's had something terrible happen to her, and she's not quite the same person. I loved seeing Emma struggle in this book and finally overcoming her past and all of her current struggles. I also liked the conclusion of the romance in this book. Since Emma is still struggling with who she is as a person and all that's happened to her, I'm glad that her romance story finally came to a close and that she's in a better place. This trilogy has definitely been an emotional roller coaster, but I loved the romance of this trilogy, and it's definitely one that I would read again. The next book I read was The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. This is another YA contemporary book, and it's certainly become popular because the movie came out a few years ago. But if you don't know what this book is about, it follows this girl named Hazel who has cancer, and her romance with a guy named Augustus Waters who also has cancer. A lot of people really love this book, but I was a little underwhelmed for this book, to be honest. I didn't really understand what the hype was. So this book was just sort of the middle of the road for me and not necessarily one that I would read again. I didn't like the character of Hazel in this book, since she's sort of like angry and an angsty character when struggling with her cancer. I did like Augustus Waters. He seemed like a nice guy, but he's the only one that I did like about this book, not really anything else. I didn't really like the writing style in this book either. The writing style kind of turned me off, but I understand that John Green is known for his writing style in his books. I just didn't particularly like it. The one thing that I did like about this book, though, is Hazel's journey to find out about what happens at the end of one of her favorite books. Her trying to contact the author of one of her favorite books and her whole journey with this as well. I did like that particular element in the story. The main story of these characters having cancer and just the character of Hazel was really annoying to me. So I did like some things about this book, but other things I didn't like so much. The next book I read was Full Tilt by Emma Scott. This is a new adult romance book, and it's the first book in a duology. This book follows a girl named Casey who's a singer in a rock band, and she wants to be a musician, but she's having some drama in the band that she's in, and she's not really doing very well in life. She meets this guy named Jonah Fletcher, who is her limo driver one night of a really bad hangover. So she wakes up on her limo driver's couch with no memory of the night before. Her and Jonah end up becoming friends, but they eventually become much more. Jonah Fletcher is a character who is a good guy, a character who would always have your back and really look out for you. Jonah is running out of time because he has a heart condition that he contracted a few years ago, and that means that he's dying. He doesn't really have a lot of time left. So this book explores the theme of what would you do if you met the love of your life near the end of your life, and the repercussions of all of that. This book really wrecked me. I loved the characters of Casey and Jonah and just how their romance developed. I loved all of the highs and lows of really getting to know these characters. Even though I knew that the terrible end was coming, I still teared up very much at the end of the book. Next, I read All In. This is the second book in the Full Tilt duology. It follows Casey's romance with Jonah Fletcher's brother named Theo. So this book really explored her just overcoming Jonah's death and really finding the strength in herself in order to love someone again. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I liked this book a little bit more, but you can't have one book without the other. They are both amazing, but this just happened to be my favorite. The next book I read was Perfect Chemistry by Simone Elkeles. This is a cute YA contemporary. It follows this girl named Brittany Ellis, who is a good girl and a good student. But when she walks into her chemistry class, she's partnered with a guy named Alex Fuentes. And Alex Fuentes couldn't be more opposite than Brittany. And he comes from gang life. But somehow these opposites attract. Alex makes a bet with his friend that he can come into Brittany's life and that she'll accept him. But little does he know, the bet that he made with his friend will turn into an actual relationship with Brittany. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I thought the romance between Alex and Brittany was cute and really emotional. I also liked exploring Alex as a character and his relationships with his family, as well as how he related to gang life. I really liked the romance between these two characters. I thought it was really sweet. And Alex is definitely a good guy. He just happens to be in the wrong situation in life. I really liked the plot development in this book and seeing the transformation of Alex. I also liked the writing style in this book. Alex and Brittany are sort of sarcastic with each other, so I enjoyed the banter between them and how that was written in the book. Simone Elkeles definitely knows how to write good YA romances, and I really enjoyed this book. And the final book that I read in December was The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. As you might remember, this book was on my October TBR and November TBR, and December was the month that I finally read this book. This book is a YA sci-fi dystopian book. I've talked about his book a few times in other videos, but this book follows a girl named Ruby who has superpowers. On the night before her 11th birthday, her parents locked her in the garage and called the police, and they didn't know what was going on with her. Ruby has been taken to a detention camp called Thurmond, and throughout this book she realizes that Thurmond is not all what it seems, so she vows to escape Thurmond. On her escape, she comes across this guy named Liam, and Liam and Ruby eventually start a relationship with each other. I did enjoy this book. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars, but I felt that I didn't really connect with any of the characters in this book, and because of that, I didn't really enjoy the story as much as I would have liked because of the characters. However, I did enjoy the plot in this book. The plot started off really slow in this book. I didn't really enjoy the slow pace in the beginning, but I did like all of the action in the latter half of the book. That's why I only gave this book 3 stars. It was middle of the road for me, but I still enjoyed it. Those are all of the books that I read in December. Comment down below and tell me what books you read in December. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!